So I wanted to make a video talking about veganism and like my experience with that. So to give you my background and my story with veganism, I became sorry, I really want to get past this person because I'm pretty sure they can hear me.
Take the next right onto Hickory Drive.
So when I was like 17, I had seen Earthlings. And it's this documentary about factory farming and how the animals are treated. And pretty much
turn right onto State Line Road.
Like overnight, like after I'd watched that video, the next day I was like fully vegan. And my whole thing was like the animals, the well-being of the animals. And I was like, I don't care about my health. I'm still gonna eat junk food. I'm not gonna worry about eating healthy food. I never looked up any like recipes or anything like that. I was just like, the well-being of the animals is my priority, and that's it. Like, I don't care about literally anything else.
Take the second right onto State Line Road.
I would just continue to eat like the school food that was provided to me because I felt like
continue on State Line Road for 1.5 miles.
That was kind of different. And but like at home and stuff, I was completely vegan. Like, I refused to spend money. My thing was, I don't want to spend my money. I don't want to spend money on animal products. So if somebody offered me something with animal products in it, I would still eat it because I didn't care about my health. And so since I still had money on my account at the school and stuff, I spent my money there and all this stuff. And then if I ever got free food from somewhere, I would just eat it still because I mean, otherwise I would just go hungry, right? So then anytime I went grocery shopping, because I mean, I was still a kid. I was 17. I didn't have a job. I applied for jobs, but nobody would hire me because I wasn't 18 yet. So I was using my dad's money to buy stuff, and I was like, I don't want to make the decision to like buy animal products. So I went vegan in that sense. And then after I graduated high school, it wasn't too long after, because like I remember I still had money on my account at school, so I went on ahead and spent it. And then we had like a couple weeks left at school, and I had to figure out what I was going to bring for lunch and stuff. And so I was like getting stuff that was like kind of expensive, like this falafel stuff from Walmart that you just heat up in the microwave. And
in a 1/4 mile, turn left onto Hacks Crossroad.
I basically was like surviving on like peanut butter jelly sandwiches, and then at home I was eating like literally like salad and stuff because I didn't know what else to eat and I didn't care about the health part of it, so I was just like whatever. And then I started figuring out simple things that like, oh well, I can have spaghetti without the meat. Like my whole life, spaghetti with meat in it is like what spaghetti is. And so I was like, oh, obviously I can get just like tomato sauce and noodles and have that. And I thought, well, that's kind of gross. What could I put in it? And then people were saying, oh, they have beans or whatever to have protein with their spaghetti. And I'm like, I don't know about all this. And so I started looking into meat alternatives. I like the fake meats and stuff, like the Beyond Burgers and stuff. And I started buying that. And like the soy chicken nuggets and the almond milk ice cream and that kind of thing. So I was just kind of replacing everything I used to eat anyways with stuff like that was still processed and shitty food. Then when I started working, I started buying more of that processed food because I was having problems in the home where I was being abused and stuff, and it was just easier for me to do that instead of cooking. And I wasn't really open to the whole raw food diet thing. For some reason, it was just ingrained in me that you cook your meals. That it's not really a meal if you didn't have to cook it. You know, if it's just a raw salad and some apples, that's not a meal, that's a snack. You need to go make yourself some pasta or something, right? So, But then I learned that like cheaper foods like beans and rice and stuff are pretty good.
Take the
And I
next
became
right
more
on East
open to
Holmes Road.
trying new foods. And then after I moved out, I started trying to focus on recovery.
Continue on East Holmes Road for 2 miles.
And so I've been working on recovery since January, since I got out. And even though, I wanted to be better when I was in the abusive home, like, you can't be better, when you're being abused, like, to that extent. So I just, when I got out, I started working on my diet again, kind of went back to square one and was like, so what am I going to do? And one of the decisions I had made was to reintroduce fish and some dairy and some eggs back into my diet. And now I'm to this point where I want to go back to just being vegan again, but trying to incorporate more raw foods because that would be cheaper, more convenient, like easier for me to manage being in my car and stuff. And so like yesterday I bought apples. I usually keep bananas on me. I had cranberries for later. I have some things that are like cereal. It's like super sugary, and I was eating it, and I was thinking, like, God, this is so painful. Because one thing that happened when I went vegan was I did cut out a lot of sugar, and then when I started focusing on my health, and I was like, I want to actually get healthy. Obviously, sugar is one of them that I need to consider cutting out, and so I've been reducing it. Since I moved out, I've been reducing it a lot, and I've had to have talks with myself where I'm like, hey, no more buying candy. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, you're spending money on just sugar. Like, that's gonna ruin your body, gonna make you diabetic or something. Like, you just need to stop with the sugar. So I stopped buying candy, and then I started trying to buy peanut butter and stuff that has less sugar in it, and starting to buy drinks that have less sugar in it. And now I need to get to the step where it's like very minimal, where I'm not buying the drinks with any sugar in it, where I'm not buying anything with sugar in it if I can. And like I said, more raw foods like fruits and vegetables.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto South Forest Hill Irene Road.
I try to go for organic. I like Whole Foods, like the supermarket Whole Foods. I like Kroger. They have a lot of organic stuff. And
take the next left onto South Forest Hill Irene Road.
Yeah, so I guess that's my experience in being vegan. Is that I decided to do it for the animals. And then one thing I realized pretty quickly was that it wasn't really natural for me to eat animals. Like,
continue on South Forest Hill Irene Road for 4
my
miles.
whole thing originally was, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this. I'm gonna stop eating these products, and I'm gonna start working on myself and all this. You know what I mean? And doing it for the animals though. And people were telling me the health benefits of going vegan. It's just I didn't care. Like when I was in high school, I did not give a fuck. Like I didn't know anything about nutrition, but even if I was like stuck in a nutrition class for high school, I thought it was the dumbest thing ever, and I hated it. And I like hated people talking to me about nutrition, and like they would ask me in nutrition class what I eaten, and so I'd lie. Like I'd have like a bowl of ice cream for breakfast, and I'd lie and say I had 2 apples and a banana, and then they're like, oh, okay, wait, well, what'd you have for lunch? And I'd just be honest and be like, the school lunch. And they'd be like, okay, because then they could verify that's true. And then they're like, and then what'd you have for dinner? And it's like, for dinner, I actually had like a big ass bowl of spaghetti with meatballs and a bowl of ice cream again and some brownies and all this junk food and chips and stuff. And then I would lie to them and be like, oh, I had a small bowl of spaghetti and a bunch of vegetables and fruit. So I knew what I was supposed to be doing. I just wasn't doing it, and I thought it was ridiculous. Like, I thought, like, the whole thing was ridiculous because we've been taught, like, this stuff for as long as I could remember. I remember being a little bitty kid with a teacher being like, putting broccoli into a cup and saying, a measuring cup, and saying, what the appropriate amount of vegetables a day is, and asking if we eat that many and stuff. And of course, we're all like, yeah, yeah, yeah. But, like, we didn't know, we're like little bitty kids. And then we'd go to the lunchroom and they're like, oh, pizza, because the tomato sauce counts as a vegetable. And me as a kid, I'm thinking, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And then they're like, oh, the food pyramid, this is the food pyramid. You got to follow this. You got to have this many carbs. It's like breads and pastas and stuff. And you got this much dairy, this much meat, this much vegetables, this much fruit, this much sugar, all this, the pyramid. And I didn't do that in the right order. But still, like, and so I believe that, and like I go to the cafeteria at the school thinking, well, this is a school, they're teaching us things that are true. And they would have on the wall a got milk poster, and they're like pushing all this propaganda that's being pushed onto them by the food companies. And so nutrition was just very confusing for me at first. And then when I got to like the high school level and they were asking me, like, what do I eat every day and stuff, I knew that they would tear me apart if I was honest and was like, oh, I'm eating all of this junk food. So I would lie, and just instead of saying the junk food, I would say I ate fruits and vegetables. And then in my mind, I would justify it. I would be like, well, I mean, a chip is like a potato, so I'll tell them I had a potato. I'm not going to tell them I had a bag of chips, or a thing of fries. I'll tell them I had a potato, and then it's like, oh, well, sweet potato's healthier, so I'll tell them I had a sweet potato, actually. And then it's like, I had these brownies. Well, I'm going to lie and tell them I had broccoli instead. And, it's really not that big of a deal, and I just think to myself, like, it's fine. It's all just, food. Like, brownies have wheat in them, and flour and milk and eggs and all that stuff's good for you. I mean, that's on the food pyramid, right? And I didn't really know about any of that stuff. And now that I'm getting older, I'm wishing that I knew about it. I'm wishing that my family would have had like a garden when I was a kid and stuff. But I tried making a garden when I was living at home, and that got sabotaged by my father. So I have not been successful in that yet. Being homeless in my car, I'm not sure how I'm going to handle doing a garden. If I'm going to figure out like a community garden type situation or what. I mean, it's basically winter right now, so I got time to figure it
In a quarter
out.
mile, continue straight onto Forest Hill Irene Road.
But right now I'm spending a lot of money on fruits and vegetables from stores because I buy organic and I try to buy like high quality stuff. So, um, and then I still fall for the like processed foods and stuff, but
Continue straight onto Forest Hill Irene Road.
I just gotta like keep learning about like what's actually nutritious and what isn't, because like I said, that propaganda was put in our
In half a
faces
mile, turn right
for
onto
so
Village
long.
Shops Drive.
And then whenever I went vegan, I was like, okay, well, animal products are bad. Animal products are bad. I'll avoid animal products, because I want to help the animals. And then whenever I started caring about my health, I was like, well, it's a good thing I'm doing this because I'm like super healthy. I'm way healthier than anybody else that's not doing what I'm doing, because I'm avoiding all these bad things, not realizing my sugar intake was still high. I'm still eating stuff I shouldn't be eating. And then it begs the question of, well, what should you be eating, and like what is actually good for you? But I would say someone starting out, going vegan. Things like nut butters, nut milks, like the almond milk and stuff. The biggest downfall for me personally was the sugar, is I would find a peanut butter with a lot of sugar in it and think, well, it's vegan.
Continue on Poplar Pike for 3/4 of a mile.
And I didn't realize I'm like basically eating candy. And I thought it was a healthy choice. And now that I'm changing everything, I'm trying to be actually healthy, I'm starting to realize the truth that sugar is probably my